be an ordinary Sunday evening in southern Spain. Families were returning home. Students were scrolling through their phones. Elderly couples rested quietly in their seats. The Madrid-bound high-speed train cut through the Andalusian countryside at sunset, just as it had done countless times before. No one on board knew that within minutes, their lives would be split into a before and an after. At exactly 7:45 p.m., near the quiet town of Adamuz, everything changed. Without warning, the train jolted violently. Passengers felt a sudden unnatural pull. Then came the sound, metal screaming against metal, followed by darkness, smoke, and panic. One of the carriages lifted off the track. Another crossed into the opposite rail line. And in the next terrifying moment, it collided head-on with an oncoming train. What followed was not just a crash, it was chaos. Inside one of the carriages, a passenger later recorded a video that would spread across social media within hours. The footage shows smoke filling the cabin, people coughing, crying, shouting for doctors. Amid the fear, a train staff member can be heard, calm but urgent, telling passengers to stay inside, to remain seated, to look after one another. "Stay together," he says. "It's safer here. We don't know the condition of the tracks." Those words likely saved lives. Outside, the scene looked like something from a disaster movie. Twisted metal lay across both tracks. One train had been forced into an embankment. Emergency lights cut through the night as firefighters, medics, and police rushed in from across the region. But Adamuz is a small town. And for the first critical moments, it was the locals who acted. Residents arrived carrying blankets, food, water, whatever they could find. They climbed toward the wreckage, helping strangers escape shattered windows. Later, the mayor of Adamuz would thank them publicly, saying help came from the very first moment. Inside the wreckage, survivors describe a nightmare. A young woman named Anna recalled the moment of impact. The train tipped sharply to one side. Then the lights went out. All she could hear were screams. Other passengers dragged her through a window. Her sister was trapped and later pulled free by firefighters. "There were people right in front of you," she said, "and you knew they were going to die. And you couldn't do anything." Another passenger, Rocio Flores, said people were thrown through the air. She survived with bruises and injuries but remains haunted by what she saw. "It felt like an earthquake," another survivor said. People were screaming, calling for doctors. By midnight, Spain knew this was no ordinary accident. At least 39 people were confirmed dead. Dozens more were injured. Emergency services treated 122 people, including children. Hospitals across the region activated emergency protocols. Families across Spain waited desperately for news, refreshing phones, calling hotlines, posting messages online, hoping to hear that their loved ones were alive. Authorities urged survivors to contact their families or post on social media, anything to ease the unbearable uncertainty. As the sun rose over Adamuz the next morning, the full scale of the disaster became clearer. 3 train wagons were so badly crushed that heavy machinery was needed to lift them. Forensic teams could not even begin searching for remaining victims until the wreckage was moved. Officials warned the death toll could still rise. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez arrived at the scene and addressed the nation with visible emotion. "This is a very sad day for everyone in Spain," he said. He declared 3 days of national mourning. Flags were lowered, public events were cancelled. Even Spain's king and queen cut short an international visit to return home, saying their priority was to be with those affected by what the queen called a brutal accident. But as the country mourned, another question began to dominate the conversation. How could this happen? The crash occurred on a straight section of track, one that had been fully renovated just months earlier. The train that derailed was described as practically new. Spain's rail operators and transport minister said excessive speed and human error had been ruled out. Rail experts were baffled. "This accident is extremely strange," the transport minister admitted. An investigation was launched immediately, but officials warned answers would not come quickly. At least a month, they said. Maybe longer. For now, the cause remains unknown. Was it a hidden fault in the track? A technical failure no one detected? A sequence of events so rare that no system was prepared for it. As rescue operations continued, more than 220 Civil Guard officers worked at the site. Firefighters, medics, and forensic doctors labored through exhaustion, through grief, through the knowledge that every hour mattered. The Andalusian regional president called it an unprecedented catastrophe. "A train carries society," he said. "Grandparents, children, pregnant women. This is a catastrophe." And he was right. This wasn't just twisted steel and broken schedules. This was birthdays that will never be celebrated, parents who won't come home, children growing up with unanswered questions about a night that changed everything. Even now, survivors speak of the sounds they can't forget. The sudden silence after the impact. The cries echoing through darkened carriages. One video, filmed from inside the train, ends with the staff member repeating the same message again and again. "Stay together." In that moment, surrounded by fear and uncertainty, those words became the difference between panic and survival. Spain will find answers. The Prime Minister promised that. Engineers will analyze data. Investigators will reconstruct the final seconds before the derailment. Conclusions will be drawn. But for the families who lost someone that night near Adamuz, no explanation will ever fully heal the wound. What remains is remembrance, a nation in mourning, a quiet stretch of track forever marked by tragedy, and a reminder that even the fastest, most modern systems can fail without warning. This was not just a train crash. It was one of the darkest nights in Spain's recent history.